Australasian Safari is Asia Pacific's ultimate off-road adventure. This grueling 7-day rally involves competitors in four-wheel drives, motorbikes and quad bikes racing against the clock as they test their driving skills across 4,000 kilometres of challenging Western Australian outback terrain. It's an epic adventure that explores the great expanses of Western Australia, Australia's largest state. Western Australia is a staggering 2.5 million square kilometres, a single state the size of Western Europe, and yet it has a population of just 2.3 million people. The course will travel through historic goldfields, remote desert, mining towns and rugged bush. This year we'll see 85 competitors compete in moto, auto and quad bike categories, racing 4,000 kilometres over 7 days. The Australasian Safari commences at Hillary's Boat Harbour near Perth, before a 4-hour drive north to Geraldton, then east to Mount Magnet, Sandstone, Laverton, Leonora and finally heading south, climaxing in Kalgoorlie. The Moto division is headed by 3-time Dakar winner Cyril Dupree and defending champion Ben Grabham. Jake Smith is back on the GHR Honda with his brother and teammate Todd Smith.
I suppose just the whole craziness of Safari, I've had a lot of fun doing it. I've had 3 wins in this event and 1/3, so try and stay at the pointy end again, and we've got a long adventure ahead of me, and I think it is just the adventure of Safari. You can be the fastest rider out there, but it doesn't mean too much sometimes, so just go out there and tackle whatever's thrown at me.
Every country, every race are pretty different, but I don't know much about this one. I mean, I saw a couple of videos. I heard a lot of story about the animals, kangaroo and dust and some fast rider. But I mean, I'm ready. I will try to do my best. My bike is also ready, and we have a couple of guys coming from Europe to support, and yeah, it will be cool.
It's a huge event. It's sort of globally recognised, and managed to sort out a deal with the Husaberg team over here with Gary Connell, and sort of he's been a big part of it. And yeah, for the race, of course.
Mate, we're back again. It's my 5th safari now, so you know, did the first one in 07 and you know, had a bit of bad luck last year and ended up crashing out. So back for some revenge, I suppose you could say, and you know, want to get back up on that podium and you know, try and put a Honda amongst those KTMs.
The auto field has a clutch of V8 supercar drivers. Safari's defending champion Craig Lowndes and teammate Paul Wheel, Tony Quinn and Steve Riley round out a very competitive field.
I was here 12 months ago, unknown of what to expect with a rally and obviously what terrain, didn't know what the car would do, everything else. So I'm a little bit wiser, but obviously, of course, this year it's a lot different direction of where we were last year. So I'm in the same boat. I've got a new Navigator, same car, and of course, going to have a lot of fun.
In the quads, it's 2010 champion Paul Smith up against Colin Lawson and John Maragazidis. There's a new category for this year, the Safari Production Class, headed by Australian rally champion Rob Herridge.
The guys are all fast. Although we like to compete, we also like to have a lot of fun out there as well. I take nothing away from them guys, man. They're all fast guys, so we're all going to be on it, I've no doubt.
If you can keep going forward in a race like this without having problems or breakdowns, you're going to do quite well.
Dusk over the Indian Ocean, and anticipation gathered for the ceremonial start at Hillary's Boat Harbour. The event, as always, attracts a diverse field of international competitors, professionals and amateurs.
For me, it's on the other side of the world from Italy, and it looks such a good event. I really look forward to it. I saw so many videos and everyone has spoken so well about this rally.
Always wanted to see Australia. Couldn't think of a better way to see it than racing through the scrub.
Say hi. Hi. Australasian Safari was the only race I never been, and before to get hold, I wanted to take part and to enjoy, and yeah, it's quite a warm welcome.
3-time Safari champion Ben Grabham was the first bike to cross the start, followed by 2009 winner Jake Smith.
Number 92 from WA.
Defending his quad crown would be Victoria's Paul Smith. while Tony Quinn would be up against a two-time winner, Steve Riley, and last year's Safari champion and V8 Supercar champion, Craig Lowndes. A new feature for this year is the Safari production class, which was led away by Rob Herridge in the Subaru. The Australasian Safari is timed just like any other rally. Entrants start each competitive section at predetermined intervals and race the clock rather than each other. Times from all the sections are added up, and at the end of the event, the competitor who has covered the entire course in the least amount of time is declared the winner of their respective category. John Maragazidis is fully committed to his task on board his quad in the Motorola Prologue. Cyril Dupree has caught up to another rider and languishes in their dust. This will affect the Frenchman's time on the stage. Paul Smith squirms his way through an especially lush part of the course. Craig Lowndes launches off in defence of his Safari title. He will certainly have a stiff challenge this year, but looks at ease as he settles in with navigator John Panozzo. Three-time winner Ben Grabban picks his way through the rutted course. The purple flowers which line the stage are incredibly slippery once under the bike's wheels. Just one more hazard to contend with. Paul Wheel in the sister Holden is searingly quick, laying down his statement of intent.
We had a little moment where we rolled on our roof and then fortunately landed on for tyres again. So it was only a real slow corner and just caught the rear and started, to tip, and so we tried to steer out of it, but I didn't catch it in time. So over we went, and luckily we landed on the wheels and kept on going, and we're quickest. So yeah, we're pretty happy with that.
There were also dramas for UK rider Sam Sunderland, crashing twice quite heavily.
My steering locked twice and I couldn't steer, so I crashed twice coming along, and then my steering would not turn.
Luckily, he's okay. With the damage to his Holden Colorado repaired, Paul Wheel was looking forward to the start of the rally proper on leg one. The Australasian Safari is an epic trek across Western Australia, encompassing challenges such as overgrown tracks, twists and turns through heavy sand, salt lakes, rocky terrain, and a series of rough mining roads. The competitive section of the opening Brits Motorhomes leg, a massive 414 kilometres. After his early trip into the scenery, Paul Wheel is looking for a solid start. As ever, it'll be important for all the competitors to find the right compromise of speed and reliability across the full 7 days. Wheel is certainly quick in the PWR Holden Colorado. Tony Quinn in the VIP Mitsubishi has co-driver Tony Fever beside him on the notes. Quinn's fast pace is only tempered by some navigational issues, and the pair stumble upon Paul Wheel's leading Holden, which is also suffering with the unrelenting similarity of the low bush. Eventually, both drivers find a path out.
We got lost a couple of times, had a flat tyre and clipped a branch, so we got a nice crack in the windscreen that we put in last night. It was quite rough at stage and a few little errors in navigation, so we gave some time to the guys behind us.
Back on the right track, Quinn is pushing hard and catches up to a pair of quads working together. But the relentless pace and heat is too much for his Pajero, and the engine seizes up. Tony Quinn is an early casualty of this stunning outback terrain. There'll be many more. Paul Wheel recovers from his problems, but his teammate and last year's winner, Craig Lowndes, is not without his own early dramas on leg one.
We went into a creek bed and the direction said to go left and I couldn't see a track, so the main track, well what I thought was the main track, went right. Of course I navigated myself into some trees and everything else, and by the time we turned ourselves around, one of the trees copped the back end of the Colorado, and we got going, so it was a little disappointing. I lost a bit of time, but all in all I think that's we're sort of further up the timesheets than what we were yesterday, which is what we want to try and do.
Steve Riley remains largely trouble-free, apart from some issues with his brakes. But it's a different story for teammate Jeff Olam.
We launched off a big rock up in the air, wasn't on the pace notes, and busted our power steering rack. A bit disappointing. It's all bent, so all the steering's going to be buggered.
A stellar cast of riders have entered this year, and the presence of Cyril Dupree is a constant reminder of the depth of talent in the field. 2009 Safari winner Jake Smith is the first rider into the stage, followed by defending champion Ben Grabham. And certainly all eyes were on three-time Dakar legend Cyril Dupree. By the end of the first stage, Ben Grabham was clearly in some discomfort, possibly aggravating an old injury. In the quads, Colin Lawson led off the charge on his Can-Am Renegade, and by the end of leg one, he'd be leading. John Maragazidis wasn't far behind on his Interceptor 850. As the sun set on leg one, the competitors made their way back to the overnight service stop in Mount Magnet, Jeff Olam limping home. Not everyone would make it. Paul Wheels suffering yet again late in the day.
We just got caught out with a little bit of slippery stuff and whacked a tree with the front of the car and pushed the bull bar back in underneath the wheel and cracked a radiator hose. So we made some running repairs out there to get ourselves back in. We could get the car running again, but it's not sort of worth it for us to continue on that. We'll just concentrate on Craig's car and hopefully have him be able to win it.
So Craig Lowndes tops the Brits leaderboard. Steve Riley just 7 minutes behind, and Terry Connor keeping consistent in third. But the rally had already claimed the V8 scalps of Paul Wheel and Tony Quinn.
We're starting to make our way back up to the sort of the lead bunch, and all in all I think we had a clean run. It's been quite a rocky road, quite deep ruts you had to sort of manoeuvre and get over, and of course repairing the back of the car where I had my little whoops and backed into a tree.
In the bikes, Todd Smith led a tight pack of 7 riders, all separated by just 10 minutes. Ben Grabham in 4th and Cyril Dupree an impressive 6th.
A great day today. I sort of started off nice and slow and found my way, didn't make too many mistakes, and ended up passing Ben in the first stage. I think he had a little stack and he was riding fairly slow, but just caught on Jacob's tail and kept chasing him down all day and ended up with a bit of a lead.
I'm not the crazy rider who will open the throttle from kilometer zero just to win, you know. It's not like that. We are talking about the rally and desert race, and as I don't know the region in Western Australia, I just take care. I respect the desert, respect the track, and I need to learn a little bit.
The landscape certainly affected Sam Sunderland, whose run of bad luck found him clipping a kangaroo.
Before I came, the guy saying about hitting kangaroos, I thought it was quite amusing, and didn't think it was a serious problem, but now I'd definitely tell you otherwise.
In the quads, Colin Lawson led his teammate Adrian Hermsen, but Paul Smith had a woeful leg one and languished in 5th.
There's so many things to catch you out, rocks, trees, navigation, bike troubles. I think every single guy in the quad class has had issues with the bike, just trying to get through the stage. So yeah, it's day one and that's Safari.
To compete at the Australasian Safari, you need speed, stamina, and navigation. In the auto division, the drivers have a co-driver indicating the best path through the terrain. But for the moto and quad riders, they have to perform both functions.
if all you had to do was navigate, it would be very simple. When you're doing 150, 160 kilometers an hour, everything's moving about, you're worried about this, that, the other. That's when it gets tricky, and it's sort of trying to be methodical and not try to ride faster than you can navigate.
Travelling at high speed and over rough ground within inches of bushes and trees, this is real skill. The riders manage this by using key directions loaded onto an electronically operated roller.
To be really to respect a lot the place. It's not the fastest rider which have the possibility to win. It's the one which can make no mistake in navigation, which can take care about himself to don't crash, take care about the bike.
The navigation notes or roadbook are standardised and provided by the course setter, outlining direction and dangers. But all the riders spend time ensuring that they personalise their notes for easy reference to obstacles, such as jumps or fences.
It's very difficult to sort of practice unless you're in a race environment. You make one wrong turn and you end up losing 5 minutes rather than slowing it down a bit, make sure you got the navigation right.
It was an early start from Mount Magnet as the riders made their way to the beginning of the Sidchrome Leg 2 for 326 formidable kilometres.
Hopefully Todd and I can work together and try and pull a gap on these guys. So they're on the same team. We like to work together and you know, if we can make that to our advantage and then you know, try and get a gap and then race against each other later in the week. So yeah, that's the plan at the moment.
I think I'll just be playing it smart today, following these boys for a bit and see how they go with the navigation. It's going to be pretty tricky navigation yesterday, so just try and stay on the road book and have a clean run.
No, I don't think I ever have a plan in this event. I just take it day by day. Had a pretty average day yesterday, so just head out there today and see what happens.
So Todd Smith, number 1 on the leaderboard and first off, working effectively with his brother Jake. Ben Grabham is building his speed, but most of all looking for the rhythm and flow which brought him the win last year. Jake Smith playing rear gunner for the moment, but pushing his brother all the way. Matt Fish from Victoria on a KTM, running just behind Ben Grabham, who briefly loses his path and some time. Cyril Dupree continues to familiarise himself with the conditions, riding through the wildflowers and outback dust. An important element of the race is that large parts of the course are run across privately owned farms and mining territory. The ability to open and shut gates quickly and safely is essential. But quad rider John Maragazidis has more than just gate opening to worry about.
I was only 4 kilometres into the special and something stood up. It's a little rock, looked like a little rock, and went right through the rear tyre. Tried to repair, bolted on the front, didn't hold, and just nursed it through the stage.
You don't like rocks?
And I reckon that whole process of repairing and going through probably cost me about an hour and a half. It was really tricky. I had to learn how to ride again. Every time I backed off into a corner, I just wanted to push straight into whatever was on the outside of the corner, whether it be a tree or a rock or whatever. So I had to learn new weight distribution methods and throttle control. But I ended up actually learning how to ride and it wasn't too bad.
Paul Smith had a great run through leg 2 and began to claw back some of the 6.5 hours of time penalties he accrued from mechanical troubles on leg 1. He'd end the day 4th in spectacular style.
There was some rough stuff there and I launched it out of a washout and it actually got a little bit high on me and I thought, oh well, we'll keep it going.
Adrian Hermsen was having a superb safari debut and held on to a solid 2nd place. Colin Lawson was still leading, despite some mechanical issues.
I had some trouble early on in the morning with another drive belt. The second stage wasn't too bad, a bit of an issue with the rear tyre right at the end of the stage. So I guess the last 20 kilometres, a rock went straight through the rim. So that slowed things down a little bit. But yeah, in all, not too bad.
Dust trails on the Western Australian horizon belie the speed as Craig Lowndes looks imperious. His Holden Colorado scything through the scrub. But Steve Riley in the lead Cairns Coconut Resort Pajero is still looking relaxed and keeps Lowndes honest on the fast tracks.
Yesterday we were car one and it made it very hard. It's a bit like searching for landmines with your big toe. You come across all the dangers before anyone sees them. So today we're just going to come back in the field a bit and take our time, get to the end.
Safari legend Terry Tangles Connor is also pushing hard in third. On the Sid Chrome overnight leaderboard, Craig Lowndes continues to lead over Steve Riley and Terry Connor.
Colorado is good for top speed style open flowing tracks, where today was a lot of that. We're quite happy we had an exhaust break right at the end of about 20 k's to go before the end of the last stage, thankfully. The boys are fixing it now and we'll be ready for tomorrow.
Todd Smith keeps his slim margin over brother Jake, with Ben Grabham in third.
It was sort of hard to go fast, and Jake caught me early on, and then we worked together through the heap of gates that were like in a line, so I'd open and he'd shut it, and we worked together through that.
Colin Lawson leads Adrian Hermsen, with John Maragazidis in third. Rob Herridge leads the Safari production class. Instant Products leg 3, and an epic run of 560 competitive kilometres from Sandstone to Laverton, including the rally's single longest stage, an energy-sapping 317 kilometres. Ben Grabham starts the day in third spot after being quickest on the final test yesterday, his time's improving. It is a massive disappointment when news over the radio tells the teams that Grabham has had a mechanical issue after the opening stage and will go no further this year. Todd Smith can only benefit from Grabham's departure, but he pushes onwards knowing that there are many punishing days ahead. Queensland hero Rod Faggoter is also on the pace as he rides to maximise traction at speeds of up to 180 kilometres per hour.
Pretty happy with it today. I actually broke a bone in my hand yesterday, so it's a bit sore. Took it pretty steady today. I know Matty Fisher's back there with a blown tyre, and Ben Grabham's got a blown engine or something's happened there, so we've made up a couple of spots just for consistency, and I passed Cyril back there, so it's been a good day really.
Another person having problems was American Seth Strait. Following behind South African rider Glenn Grundy, he catches him all too quickly in the dust. Jake Smith has been matching his brother and remains in second spot, but the harsh and unpredictable terrain takes it by.
I got up some wire in that first special and it took me a little while to get it out, and then had a very, very big crash in the second one about 50 kilometres in, and mate, I struggled the whole way through that, and I'm so glad that I made it to the end, and it's pretty much damage control for me at the moment.
Jake wouldn't know it, but his foot is broken. He rides on, almost oblivious to any pain. Shane Diener has been on a move up the leaderboard on his Yamaha. But just a momentary lapse of concentration puts him close to trouble. Unfazed, he continues. But more misfortune for American Seth Strait. A low branch knocks him off balance, a small impact, but later in the day he will crash, breaking his wrist and be unable to compete any further. Navigation continues to be an issue for some competitors, and Nigel Rawlack on a Yamaha holds an inquiry on which direction to take with another Safari regular, Ivan Urseg.
Yeah, because there should be a turn left off that. There is a turn left off that, but everyone's come back on.
They weren't the only ones struggling. Damien Grabham and Cyril Dupree.
Me and Cyril got lost for probably 20 minutes. So it wasn't very good at all.
Adrian Hermsen was still going well in second, just behind team leader Colin Lawson. But Paul Smith's Honda succumbs to the attrition of Australia's most extreme playground. And despite having won last year, he's forced to withdraw. John Maragazidis consolidates his third place. In the auto division, Craig Lowndes is edging further into the lead, winning both of the day's stages. But the gap between the top two is still under 20 minutes. A puncture or mechanical issue can happen at any time, and both Lowndes and Steve Riley in his Mitsubishi know this. Riley has won the event twice before and is well aware that physical and mechanical fatigue play an equal part. Tangle's Connor is just over 25 minutes behind the lead pair and ideally placed to capitalise on any errors. So on the Instant Products leaderboard, Lowndes leads, while Steve Riley's teammate Jeff Olam is forced to retire. Todd Smith leads from the front, with brother Jake holding on despite his injured foot, while Shane Diener improves to third. In the quads, Colin Lawson leads Adrian Hermsen, and 5 runners now remain with Smith's early exit. As the night draws in at the Laverton bivouac stop, weary crews look forward to a hearty meal and some rest, while the mechanics fire up generators and work deep into the night.
Winter has arrived, and that means it's time to watch in amazement as the top ice racers in France battle the clock and each other in the Andros Trophy. Jacques Villeneuve, Alain Prost and Olivier Panis will be in action when the series next heads to Alpe d'Huez, and MotoGP will have it all Wednesday, December the 21st from 6:35.
Skoda, partner of the Andros Trophy. Skoda, simply clever.
There's going to be a two-wheel triple header this Thursday, December the 22nd on Motors TV. The action kicks off with round 1 of the British Supermoto and Super Lights Championship from Silverstone at 7:30. That's followed at 9:10 by the Polish stop on the 2011 FIM World Enduro Championship from Nodds. And then finally, 10:05 in the evening, Motors TV heads to the exotic island of Macau, where some of the bravest riders in the world will be trying their luck on arguably the most demanding street circuit on the planet. When it comes to road testing, today's latest road-going masterpieces no-show quite does the job like the Fast Lane Revived. Be sure to tune in to Motors TV for episode 7 of this esoteric and highly entertaining programme Wednesday, December the 21st, beginning at 6:10.
The Best Western Leg 4 of the Australasian Safari is a 459-kilometre loop around Laverton. The diversity of Western Australia is reflected in today's course. Cyril Dupree is finding the local riders far from laid back.
I used to ride and fighting for the first place. When you finish 5, 6, 10 minutes behind the first, there's not really good reason to push so much. I just don't have confidence on the notes, and like this, it's an experience.
It was a different story for Shane Diener, who's finally getting into the flow of his riding. He sets the fastest time on all 3 of the day's stages. But troubling times for Colin Lawson. Having led from day 1 in the quad division, he was about to lose his clutch.
About the 20-kilometre into the first stage, I noticed a bit of a bang, and what happened was I could still drive the bike, but it was about 6,000 RPM to get to about 20 kilometres an hour, so it was really revving and not going anywhere. So, and by the time I did the 3rd drive belt in about 60 kilometres, decided to call it a day,
and yeah, jump on a free ride home.
It was a double blow as teammate Adrian Hermsen took an injury to his leg, which would now put him out of the event. John Maragazidis jumped up 2 spots and into the lead.
I just found my groove today and pushed nice and hard. I was just enjoying it. I was getting into the track and not thinking about anything else other than what was coming at me and just dealing with it the best way I could.
Craig Lowndes was certainly finding his confidence, and leg 4 saw him pushing the boundaries of off-road racing. The Queensland-based driver is setting some blistering times in a tight battle with Steve Riley. Lowndes is only briefly delayed when he sounds his siren and catches Neville Yateman's quad in the thick dust. Steve Riley knows that as the kilometres increase, so does the tension and the fatigue.
Just put the pressure on a bit. It's one of those cat and mouse games, you know. Young bull, old bull, whatever you want to call it. You just got to get out and do the job. So put the pressure on, and hopefully one of us will be sitting beside the track the next couple of days.
So on the Best Western leaderboard, Craig Lowndes extends his lead slightly, but not without risk on this arid and unforgiving terrain. Todd Smith has a decent gap, but it's still anyone's race. Cyril Dupree lies 5th, but Shane Diener is on the move.
I think I got about 4 minutes back off Todd this morning, or today, so if I can do that for another 3 days, I guess we'll come out in front, but it's a long way still.
Maragazidis takes the lead, but Hermsen and Young are out, and so 6 becomes 3. It's a debut year for the Safari production class. Rob Herridge is a former Australian rally champion, and he talks us through the major differences between his category and that of the full auto division.
One of the advantages in the Subaru Forester is that it's light and nimble. We think it's strong. Minimal modifications, of course, the safety mods, and probably just enough mods to get around the course, we hope. Some of the stages are 350 kilometres long. We have 85 litres in the tank inside the car and 60 litres under the car. We've worked very hard on the roll cage to help hold the body together. The Subaru is a monocoque chassis rather than a full chassis, so that means it needs the strength of the body in its own integrity to hold it together. We're going to use the roll cage not only to protect us, but to hold the car together.
The hot desert sun arrives early for leg 5, and Craig Lowndes is feeling positive.
I think stay out of trouble. I think that we've got a good healthy gap now that we should make sure we bring the car back safe and sound. I think today though, from what the notes say, that's going to be a little bit more open flowing around some sort of salt lakes and everything else. So hopefully that it'll suit this car.
We just got to truck on as best we can. We're not that far behind, so we're just going to put a bit of pressure on and see. It's one of those events you just got to both push each other hard, and one of us will probably end up on the side of the track somewhere, but that's going to be the nature of this race.
We can't go quite as fast as front runners, so hopefully something will go wrong with them and they lose a couple of minutes and we'll be moving right up there.
The Rent-A-Sac leg 5 sees the competitors move on from the Laverton bivouac to Leonora and 379 kilometres of racing. The sun scorches the salt flats and Craig Lowndes is feeling the heat of competition. These have been long days, focusing at high speeds through red dust and Western Australian cobalt blue skies. Steve Riley is just 24 minutes behind, and despite his cautious words, Lowndes is pushing. Steve Riley is sticking to his game plan and hard charging from behind. Likewise, Terry Connor looks fully committed to his cause. In the bike division, it's a rare chance for the top riders to catch up and share stories. The camaraderie is a real feature of Safari and why so many return each year. Competing across vast distances and far from outside help, the riders look out for one another on the course and share each other's pain or triumphs. Shane Diener begins the opening stage just 30 seconds behind Jake Smith. He duly takes second spot with blistering pace on the day's first test. but he bears the scars of his battle.
Doesn't hurt.
Jake Smith is struggling with his injury.
My foot's still not 100%, and I'm trying my best. I did as best I could in there, and I'm not too sure. Shane obviously had a good run, and I'm doing all I can at the moment.
And Todd Smith loses some of his lead.
Yeah, that was tough. It was windy all the way. There wasn't too much open stuff. It was pretty hard work.
Trying to consolidate position at the moment. I'm riding with a broken hand, so it's a bit tender. So just got to back off for all the rough stuff and rough crossing, so there's not much I can do about that. But yeah, we just keep poking along and see how the rest go.
Cyril Dupree is now relaxed into the flow of his riding. The Frenchman is certainly holding his own for his first attempt on safari. Because of the remoteness of the rally, accommodation is few and far between. Most competitors camp or use motorhomes. Seth, straight from the United States, invites us to his home on the event.
So here at the safari in Australia, it actually gets quite cold during the night. So I've got a nice down sleeping bag. When I get up in the middle of the night and I got to go to the bathroom, unfortunately I can't just go down the hall to the bathroom anymore, so I've got a headlamp. If you want to take a shower, there's a trailer over there with water piped in. You got to go across the park to use that. So thanks for coming by and checking out my space, and see you later. Have a good night.
The Australasian Safari continues, with Rob Herridge leading the safari production class. In the quad, Neville Yateman on his first safari survives in third spot. Day 5, and Craig Lowndes is responding to the increasing challenge of Steve Riley in the Coconut Club Mitsubishi. Lowndes has topped the timesheets for nearly every stage. But this is a high-speed endurance event. Every kilometre and corner holds danger.
Sorry, man. Come on, get out, eh? Yep. Time to get out on me. Get out on me. Open your door.
Yep. We were going around a left-hander. It was the second gear. We just actually got the rear of the car out of the ruts. And as we were going around the corner, unfortunately, there was a tree there and it clipped the rear wheel, bent the rear wheel, the right rear wheel to about 45 degrees, took out all the ball joints, and with that, it actually kicked the car around. It dug in and just went onto its side, on the Navigator side. The guys in the Evo Mitsubishi pulled us back on our wheels. We pulled the corner off, tried to drag it out with three wheels, and unsuccessfully. So we got towed out right at the end. So yeah, it was disappointing to finish off that stage. Of course, we didn't complete the second stage. We'll get a time penalty, and we'll see where we're ranked for tomorrow. We were having such a good run up until that point, and really it was just one of those things that it come out and bit me. I'm still learning all about this game, and everything can happen and anything will happen.
We were behind him, but we were poking and just giving him a bit of a nudge. Anyhow, he's ended up tipping the car over. Whether it was him or me, something was going to end in tears. So, and then 50k later, we've smashed the front suspension of our car. So we were on the side of the track there, and we didn't think we were going to go. So I thought there were going to be two lots of tears. But it's one of these events you just can't predict what's going to happen. You go as hard as you can and do your best preparation, but you never know if you're going to get to the end till about 10 minutes before the finish line.
On the Rentersat leaderboard, Steve Riley moves into first place, with Terry Connor now in second and West Australian John Pursehouse in third. Lowndes is seventh. In the bikes, Todd Smith leads, but Shane Dina loses a hard-fought second with mechanical problems, dropping to eighth. John Maragazidis, having had trouble early in the event, is now on song, while Colin Lawson continues to improve after his time penalties on leg 4. aspect of the Australasian Safari which is crucial is safety for all the competitors.
Most of us here on the medical team are involved in a lot of motorsport across the year, Formula One, World Rally and national rallies. But the Australian Safari is a real favourite with all of us. It's a unique event, fast distances, difficult response times and limited facilities. So the helicopter is a very important part of that medical response.
I'm Heli 1, of which we have 2 helicopters, Heli 1 and Heli 2. We are here primarily for medical evacuations and providing medical support. The reason that we use helicopters in safari is because we're in such remote areas. To give you an idea, the closest hospital from where we are now is approximately an hour and 10 minutes of flying time away at 200 kilometres an hour.
So for an injured driver or more often a rider on the safari, typically in a remote place, very difficult to get a ground vehicle to them, and so the helicopter would typically be there first. We may then transport the patient by road, by ambulance or by Royal Flying Doctor Service as appropriate.
Some of the stages that we land at are probably inaccessible in anything under 2 or 3 hours by a normal vehicle. The safari is rather unique in all the motorsport events which I attend, in the fact that it's probably the longest. It will last for 7 to 8 days, and because of the remoteness of the event.
This is certainly a welcome sight for any injured competitor. The Kalgoorlie Boulder Leg 6, and it's a 377-kilometre loop returning for a second night to the Leonora bivouac before heading south to the city of Kalgoorlie Boulder.
All patched up, raring to go?
It's good actually. We took it for a run this morning and it's all square. The guys did a fantastic job overnight to get it obviously back on 4 wheels instead of 3, and we'll see what we can do. We're miles behind in time, but we're going to have a bit of fun today and tomorrow.
Day 6, and the harsh Western Australian terrain has worn down both crews and equipment. The competitors are in constant battle with heat, dust, hydration, mechanical and physical fatigue. Cyril Dupree cuts a solitary figure as the dust trails spit from his back wheel. While Dale Hodgman and Don Lark race each other across the rutted, dry riverbed. Shane Diener is chasing back up the leaderboard. He's committed to reaching the podium, but overshoots a junction. Steve Riley chokes through the dust. But the competitors do find some moisture to revel in. It's an event that's easy to spectate, but sometimes you can get too close to the action. John Pursehouse treads carefully, suddenly promoted to second as Tangles Connor is forced to retire. This late in the event, and fatigue is all too clear to see. Mistakes that would have been unthinkable on leg 1 now become a reality on day 6. It's the tyranny of distance. Late in the day, and a message on the radio to Rally Base relays the news that Cyril Dupree has an injury to his foot and is unable to continue in the event. The story sends a ripple of shock through those back at the bivouac, and Dupree joins the legion of professionals who have fallen foul of the Western Australian outback. On the Kalgoorlie Boulder leaderboard, Steve Riley is in charge, with John Pursehouse up to second. Craig Lowndes has stormed back to fourth in a quest for the podium. Todd Smith still leads the bikes, but his brother has promised a race to the finish. Faggoter is third, and Shane Diener sixth. John Maragazidis has a comfortable lead over Colin Lawson. But with still 1 leg to go, anything can happen. Auto 1 Leg 7 moves the crews over 300 kilometres south to the famous mining town of Kalgoorlie. The teams will rendezvous at the Kalgoorlie Golf Club, an oasis in the desert. The last early start, and the anticipation from Todd Smith is clear. This will be an important win if he can keep his brother Jake behind him. John Pursehouse is a Perth local, and second place here would be a trophy to savour. Steve Riley too shows no sign of nerves. Craig Lowndes continues to push. It's clear he would still like a podium spot. The Kalgoorlie Golf Course is the finale to this year's event, a short test compared to the many kilometres that now lie behind. Riley blasts into the red sand. And Western Australian Rob Herridge finishes the course in the Safari production class, as he promised he would. Todd Smith remains quick to the very end, sealing a dominant win from the front. And John Maragazidis claims another Safari title, adding to his victory in 2008. Riley is now just moments from confirming his win, and sliding wide not once, but twice. He's giving the Kalgoorlie spectators some real finishing flourishes. The road has been long, but victory will recharge all of these riders and drivers with the greatest of feelings, winning. On the Auto 1 leaderboard, it's a clean sweep for Mitsubishi as Steve Riley claims his third Safari win, John Pursehouse in second, with Robert DeLalo in third. Todd Smith wins the bikes, beating his brother. Jake Smith and Rod Faggoter have ridden magnificently while carrying injuries. John Maragazidis wins. His commitment in riding a three-wheeled quad, now part of the legend of Safari. Rob Herridge is victorious in the Safari production class. After 4,000 kilometres, the winners can all finally bask in a refreshing bath of champagne. 7 tough days are over.
And you try all year for these sort of results, so you got to enjoy them when you can, but they don't come that easy. They come with a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, and a lot of time in the shed at night that is very unrewarding. But it's all part of the deal, and at the end you get a result like this, and it feels like it's all worth it.
It's probably the toughest course I've ever run. There was booby traps everywhere. Just trying to navigate my way through that. The fact that, you know, a Dakar legend came here and it broke him, and yeah, I got through the course and won my class. It makes me feel really confident.
It's sort of sweet to win finally. I've been chasing this dream for 4 years now, and it's good that it's finally paid off for me.
We've won Safari production, so very, very happy and proud to do that. A brilliant result for a Subaru Forester.